Members of the public wishing to speak during item 3 public comment or during any of the scheduled items will be able to do so by utilizing the raise hand feature, or if by calling in by pressing *9 on their phone. They will then be given the ability to address the committee. Thank you.
All right, and I believe our first step is to present the items, and I'm not going. It's great that I don't have experience, and I'm also going by memory. Thank you, Mary Rogers, for the amount of times that you show me how to go about even beginning the meeting, which I do appreciate. I do not have the agenda on my screen quite yet. Rafa, would you like to take off on the first item of the day?
Absolutely, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Downtown Subcommittee. So welcome, everybody, to the month of March. We're already into March. So next item is actually 2, which is public comments.
Perfect.
We have no raised hands at this time.
Do you have any emails or anything of that type?
We don't. There are no emails or voicemails for this meeting.
Perfect. With that, let's go ahead and close public comment. Bring it back. Rafa, would you like to take it away?
So we got under new business, item 3, we have 3.1. We have our Chief Financial Officer providing a parking program update. So Alan Alton, take it away. Welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you, Chair, members of the subcommittee. It's a very short report today. There's not a lot to report out on. I will update the committee that we are in the process of building the signs for the EV chargers. This was an issue that has been brought before the committee before. And at the last meeting, we received direction to on the color and the wording that would be on that. I forwarded that to the committee members and got the okay to move forward. So we are in the process of having those signs developed. Should be installed. I don't have a tight estimate on when we'll install them, but hopefully this month. If not, then it could be early April. Other than that, we still are looking to hire a full-time parking manager. Kim Nadeau has been helping us as a retired annuitant. I do have second interviews today, so hopefully we will be able to fill the position very shortly. With that, I'm available for any questions, but that's the end of the report.
Thank you, Alan. Chair Sawyer, or Member Sawyer, I should say, do you have any questions this morning?
No, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Mayor Rogers, it's good to have you here this morning. Do you have any questions for us this morning?
I don't. Thank you.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Rafael.
Yes, Chair, if I may, we do miss Kim Nadeau quite a bit, and we're glad to hear that she's assisting the city in finding a good candidate for some big shoes to fill there at that department. So
perfect. And let me see, we go ahead and done that part of it. Let's go ahead and go to public comment and see if anybody has anything to add to our conversation this morning.
We have no raised hands at this time, nor are there any voicemails or emails for this comment, or for this item, rather.
I appreciate that much. With that being said, let's go ahead and close public comment. And
Mr. Vice Mayor, I do have a quick question.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. It just came to mind with the, I'm not sure what the status is of the lack or the parking garages being reduced in cost or free at certain times. What's the current status of the garages as far as paying? Alan?
Yeah, that's something that I don't off the top of my head, but what we'll do, we'll plan on giving a more detailed revenue report at the next meeting.
Okay, and the only reason I bring it up is because if we were to start to have more installations of the electric charging stations potentially in our garages, could the fact that we, depending on where we are with our offering free parking in the garages after X number of time, the hour free, I'm not sure what the current status is, but could those reductions in revenue have negatively impact our ability to install charging stations in our garages? I think that's just a general question, because they can't be cheap, and so that's why I'm not sure what the current status is, but I think we need to consider some immediate needs for income or revenue being generated from the garages. It looks like Chris may have a comment about that.
Yeah, we extended all of the reductions for the garage. I think it was back in December. We extended it, I think, through the rest of the fiscal year. And so I believe that was to end of June.
Right.
And yeah, so one of the things that I'm interested in too is both your question, John, which is a good one, and then also pointing out again that the charging stations that are on the square actually don't ban people from parking in them if they're not charging their vehicle. And so I've heard that as a barrier for folks who do want charging stations, but also want to make sure that the charging stations are used appropriately. So there will be a balance.
Yeah, and those nice red signs hopefully will not be missed by those parking in those spaces that
Right.
They are not supposed to be parking in.
They will be welcome.
The new signs should address specifically what you're bringing up. So hopefully that will work out. It does. You know, Courthouse Square is a desirable parking location. So there'll be that balance, but at least we'll address the charging situation. I'll come back in April with more of. I see my phone blowing up, so the guys are trying to pass me along information. But what we'll do is give you a more focused presentation in April that deals with where we currently are on revenue. That'll be at the end of a quarter, so we'll give you an update on revenue, and we'll go into what it would involve from a cost and loss of space scenario for additional charging stations in the garages. And we'll update you on where we currently have charging stations in the garages.
Okay, thanks, Alan.
Alan, I do have a question in regards. I'm afraid I can't pull up the documents that were sent to us prior, but there was a graph that was shown in one of the documents where it showed the pre-COVID as well as the 2021 park usage, just to refresh your memory a bit. And I'm seeing the correlation between the both in the sense that there's still use in the city, but we're also seeing that there isn't much use in the parking garage, regardless of whether we were given the free parking or not. It's on. You have to excuse me that I don't know the word that we're using. The parklets. We're seeing that the parking garage are not being used, regardless of what we're doing with the parklets. It was my perception correct on that? And I'm sorry I don't have the graph in front of me.
Yeah, and I unfortunately don't either, so I'm going to go from memory. But the majority of our parking, if I recall, is on-street parking and metered parking, and not. And then there's a group that's in the garages, and then elsewhere. And I know that we're not quite at our pre-COVID areas, so you know, without having that, sorry, kind of caught me cold on that one a little bit. Without having that right in front of me, I don't want to speculate on whether people are going to one part of parking or in the garages or where they're going as a result of the parklet program. I mean, I think what we can say is that there are less spaces on the street, and so they're going somewhere else to park in order to come downtown. But
Yeah, I did see a minimal difference. I believe it was 15%, 16% on the usage of the street, I believe, and it was a little bit higher for the parking garage, but nonetheless, it wasn't much of a difference. And I found it to be interesting how whether it was COVID era or pre-COVID, the tendencies were the same, regardless of the traffic that we're seeing in downtown, the downtown corridor.
right.
Or at least that's the perception I got from the graph. And if I had it in front of me, I'd probably be more exact and more detailed in my statement, right? But I do appreciate it, sir. Do we have any further questions? Yes, Rafa.
Chair, if I may, apparently there's a public comment.
Absolutely. And with
Thank
that
you.
being said, let's go ahead and open it up
Aline?
for public comments.
Yes, I will go ahead and share the public comment screen and Steve Bridal Bell. You have the ability to talk. If you would confirm your ability to see the timer, and we'll go right ahead.
Yes, this is Steve Bertelbaugh with the Transportation Land Use Coalition. I just wanted to make a remark about the long-term prospect for parking and automobile usage. As we look at the need to reduce driving in order to get to our zero emissions, that's going to affect the issues with our garages and the cost of those garages. So I think at some point we need to start thinking about what happens to our garage situation as we cut the driving in half and then in half again over the next 8 years. The county wants to be carbon zero by 2030. That's a very aggressive approach. But whether we make it or not, I think we need to realize that driving is going to be curtailed steadily over the next decade or so. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do we have any additional comments?
We do not. There are no additional raised hands. Thank you.
Perfect. With that being said, we'll go and close the time for public comments. I know that we're definitely investing into more electrification of our public vehicles, whether it's law enforcement vehicles or public transit. And I know along with that, the way that we're seeing the development for our homes is also with the reduced parking, with the emphasis on public transit. So we're hoping that that's the direction that we're moving as a city of Santa Rosa. And if there's any additional comments, I would love to hear them.
Chair Alvarez, just to follow up on your earlier question. So
Yes, sir.
Right now our monthly parking transactions are at about 65% of where we were pre-COVID. And the breakdown of that is 63% of that is on-street parking, 15% are in the lots, and 22% is are in the garages. And the garage transactions pre-COVID or in 2019 was at 20%. So if you want to look, and on-street was at 64. So if you want to look at it as being slightly less on-street and slightly more garage, as you know, if you want to draw an inference that that's because of the parklets, it's anecdotal right now. I'd have to look at that a little bit closer. But
Very well. And I did see the direction that we were going both pre-COVID and during COVID, where we started seeing the decline as well as the incline for the pre-COVID, as we're starting to see the opening of our businesses and the world pretty much, right? Or at least that's perception that I got from the graph that you were showing. Mayor, I see your hand is raised. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Yeah, my apologies, Alan. I want to make sure I heard that right. So pre-COVID, it was 64% on-street, 20% garages. And then now where we sit right now is 63% on-street, 22% garages. And that's even taking into account the reductions in free times that we're doing for the garages.
Correct.
That we were not doing pre-COVID.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any additional comments this morning on item 3.1?
We have no additional hands raised at this time.
Very well, thank you. With that being said, we'll move on to item 3.2. Rafa, if you'd like to take it away.
Yes, we got 3.2, Railroad Square Association Community Benefit District Report. Chris Wilson, Executive Director.
Morning. Good morning, council members. Nice to see
Good
everyone.
morning.
And Mayor Rogers. I'm going to be short this morning. We'll report that January and February seem to be slow for our merchants in Railroad Square. Hoping that's going to pick up now with the longer days. The restaurants have been busy, but the businesses themselves have been pretty slow. Graffiti remains an ongoing issue. We are, we have a graffiti program helping merchants to eradicate some of it, to offer paint and help with getting some of that out. And I just heard yesterday that there's been some sideshow activity on Davis and 6th Street, which kind of surprised me. The AC Hotel had reported yesterday. So we're working with Josh Ledke and the police and trying to get that stopped before it gets worse. As far as projects, I've got a lot going on right now, and it's exciting because we've got a lot of things kind of finally coming to fruition that we've been working on for a long time. And I really want to thank Gabe Osborne for his help with our process getting through the wayfinding pedestrian signage program. We are getting really close to our next step of now selling signage, marketing the signage program to our merchants. And there's going to be 9 signs placed throughout the district, and each one of them will have 18 strips for merchants to advertise their business and help direct traffic to their business. And they're subtle, but they look nice, and so it's something that's been a long time working on project. So that should be you'll be able to see those probably within the next couple of months. And met with James Castro. Thank James for his time looking at Depot Park. That's really sadly looked abandoned for quite a long time. We're looking at trying to get a doggy station in there because there's been a lot of problems in there with doggies thinking it's a dog park for them. And just cleaning it up, looking at that Depot Park sign, and as we move into nicer weather and being able to be doing events and using Depot Park as a central area for Railroad Square. So that I'm looking forward to, and we're looking at bids to continue lighting more of the area in Railroad Square. We've wrapped the trees that are along Wilson Street at Depot Park. Those bulbs are actually going to be replaced to match the bulbs that are on the trees downtown. But we're looking at bids to also put lighting, maybe outline the buildings on 4th Street, possible crisscross lighting, just really now trying to make it aesthetically look more welcoming, feel safe. We've spent a lot of time the last 2 years on things for security and street cleaning that aren't so visible to our property owners. And now it's time to really do some things that look more visible so they can see a value for being part of our district. We have a few new businesses. I might have reported one of these last month. We have 2 new additional styling salons. La Coupe Sauvage has moved into the Western Hotel building. And then June, Joon, moved into the old LOE spot in City 205. And Princess Bride, which is a formal wear, moved onto 4th Street. So she's really attracting a lot of business down there. So that's all very positive. And it's now we're looking at putting on some events. We're looking at a car display happening on May 1st. We'll be on 4th Street. The Western Hotel is going to do an open house with history tour and music on May 22nd. We're planning a music festival in June, bringing back the music festival that used to happen every year down there. And then because of COVID, hasn't happened. So they're coming back in June, and we'll be bringing back the summer music strolls. And now looking at some sort of a signature event that we're working on, partnering with 6th Street Playhouse and the other nonprofits to see what we can do to support each other. The community is very art filled, and we want to promote that and make it more attractive and more obvious for people to come down. And really ramping up our marketing and our social media. So it's a busy time, but it also feels positive that we're getting some things done. And again, I want to thank Raphael for all of your help in helping to move things along and the support that I'm getting from you and the city. It's much appreciated. So that's it.
Thank you, Chris. And I'm happy to see that the roads finally starting to open up, especially in downtown Santa Rosa and the Railroad Square side of town. I can't wait to see the parties happening again. I know that that's definitely a high point of the community, especially there in the corridor. Do we have any questions or comments this morning for Chris?
No questions, just thanks.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
Mayor?
Yeah, just wanted to thank Chris for all the work as well.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Perfect. With that being said, let's go ahead and open up public comment on item 3.2.
We have no raised hands at this time, nor do we have any emails or voicemails for this item.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and close public comment on item 3.2 and bring it back to the members. Any additional comments? Are we good to go? Now, I was made aware of the sideshow incidents, and I'm sorry that did happen in the Railroad Square. I know that a lot of our visitors in the hotels were recording the event, and it hurts me that such a bad look for Railroad Square being hit with this type of activity. I'll definitely be reaching out to the chief, and we have the mayor here, so he's aware of the situation. And again, in regards to the future of Railroad, party time until we're told different. And Chris, thank you very much for your report this morning. And with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to item 3.3, Downtown Action Organization. And this will be an update. Rafa, if you'd like to take this one away, I'd appreciate it greatly.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So 3.3, Downtown Action Organization report. And we have Caden Sinkle Allenson, the Executive Director of the Santa Rosa Downtown District. Welcome, Cadence.
Good morning, Raphael. Good morning, Chair Alvarez and Councilmember Sawyer. Welcome, Mayor Rogers. Happy to have you on board this committee. Some updates on our downtown businesses, a little bit of an echo from what Chris said, but unfortunately the health order had a pretty negative impact on a lot of our businesses downtown. The nice weather did bring a bit of a shift, so hopefully we're on an upturn now, but the continuing unpredictability has been a real challenge and frustration for our downtown business owners. So there's definitely still some concern. I think maybe we're reaching a place of some cautious optimism, but I think we've all also been in that place before, so it's kind of couched with some concern that we might be heading back into a negative period at any point. We are still running into concerns with issues with TIs and permitting for things like signs, but that is something we're eager to work with staff on. Crime remains an ongoing issue. One of our businesses is now installing a pull-down gate in front of their business, which has long been something that businesses and council has not wanted to see downtown, but they've had their windows smashed so many times. They now, I think, are actually being required to do that by their insurance company. So it's pretty unfortunate, but that's the way it's going. We've had a lot of conversations on this committee about CCTV cameras, but we've never revisited it. We've never really heard a report on whether or not it is feasible. I know SRPD was was supportive of it, but I'm not sure where that landed, and it would be great to get an update to see whether that is something the city is considering, if that's something we can support the city to move forward with, because anything we can do to help reduce the crime or create a presence that would inhibit people from doing crime downtown would be very helpful. We are continuing to work with Catholic Charities on a person-by-person basis with our homeless population downtown. It has been helpful, and we have been able to get people housed, but it is slow, especially because recently we've been seeing new people every week. Our Street Plus team is very much on the ground, very much connecting with people. They're able to pass names on to Catholic Charities to help get people into services, make introductions, help find solutions for individuals. But every week they're seeing new people downtown. So it's not really helping to reduce the population at all. It's just helping to move some folks along. So that really remains an issue, and even though we are supporting individuals, we're not really addressing the underlying problem of the homeless population downtown, of the perception that it creates for our community, which, as we've all heard, is one of it not being safe and it not being clean. We are really working on both of those things in a number of ways, but the perception is a very hard thing to overcome. One of the ways that we can address that is by continuing to activate the area. So activating the spaces downtown. Courthouse Square is definitely gearing up for a busy year. I think, as everyone here knows, the chamber has a blanket permit for events that are happening in the square. So we're helping to manage and support events that are happening between the two side streets in Courthouse Square. I think we have nearly 20 already scheduled. I probably get at least 1 or 2 outreaches a week, people asking for new events on the or to host events on the square. So definitely that's going to be a busy season. We're working to get more event support on site so that we can really make sure those event organizers have a good experience and the event attendees really appreciate what they're seeing downtown. That also comes with making sure we have our Street Plus team out in force to address any issues. We did have quite a few problems last year when we had events with homeless members of the population interrupting, trying to take stuff from stalls, a variety of different issues, but having our team on site will be really helpful. We have been working on some kind of minor marketing things, making sure our website is updated. We updated the posters in the kiosks, which will be changed seasonally or monthly, more likely. We also are working on our egg hunt. Everyone probably remembers from last year, that was just a really, really big event downtown, lasts for about 3 weeks. And it's basically just a passport that brings members of the community to downtown businesses. So we have about 30 businesses signed up. We did put the limit at 25, but we had a lot of interest from our businesses downtown. So we have I think 29 or 30. We have some really great prizes this year, including a trip to Disneyland. So it's hopefully going to draw a lot of people downtown. And we don't expect all these people to shop when they're downtown, but if we have 500 or 600 families coming through and stopping into our businesses and seeing what they have to offer, those are all potential future customers. So this type of programming that really drives people into businesses, much like our Fall Fun Fest and our Halloween trick-or-treating, it's really, really, really worthwhile for our businesses, and they really appreciate it. We are also working on our summer programming, which will include music on the square. We'll be doing that 1 day a week. We'll be doing a month-long movie series. We're going to be partnering with Pride on one of those nights and looking for some other partners to just kind of make them really fun and festive. And then, of course, we're also already talking about Winter Lights for 2022 and what that's going to look like. So we've had a few meetings with participants, with people who are really invested in seeing what we can do downtown, and are hoping to move forward with plans for next year, taking into account we have, of course, 2 installations going in hopefully this year, which will kind of change the face of the square a little bit. but looking forward to moving that forward. In follow-up to the earlier conversation on the parking garages, we are really eager to work with the city to finalize some type of permanent incentive in the garages. Excited to hear that there is a potential replacement for Kim. I will echo Raphael's comments that it's big shoes to fill, and we greatly miss her. So glad to hear that she might have someone stepping into that position soon. I will say, as far as the garage parking, we have not done the Downtown Action Organization, and I don't believe the city, either of us, have really done a lot of promotion around the fact that the garages are free when they're free. I still run into people today, embarrassingly, people I know who don't know that the garages are free on the weekends, in the evenings, and for the first hour. Our businesses, I think, do a pretty good job of letting their customers know. They're pretty used to that. They're pretty used to promoting and telling people where the best places to park are. But still, a lot of our community doesn't understand that if you come down on a weekend, the garage is free. If you come down after 5, the garage is free. So while I totally understand the numbers as they're presented, I think I'm not sure we can get a really clear picture, knowing that so many people don't even know that these incentives are available. Right now, when you pull into a garage, all it says is first hour free, but you have to already be pulling into that garage to see the little sign that says first hour free. Right? We don't have any signage. We don't have we haven't done any marketing or advertising to let people know about that. So I think that's just something we need to take into consideration. Like, we are not expecting all of these incentives to continue. We do understand the parking district, the solvency of the parking district is of incredible importance, but I want to make sure that it is understood that our business owners and the community members who take advantage of it really do appreciate having reliable, regular free parking downtown. We know it can't stay forever. We know everything can't be free, even though we all constantly hear cries for free parking downtown. The reality of that is not a reality. So looking forward to furthering that conversation. I also wanted to say how much I appreciated the work that Gabe and Raisa are doing on the permanent parklet policy. That's been a very, very long ongoing project for that team. And I'm grateful that they've been taking into consideration the feedback from our downtown businesses. I've done outreach to nearly all of the businesses that have parklets downtown and shared the proposed policy, which is, I believe, going to council today. With the fee structure that is in place, only one of the businesses that I spoke to, and I think it was a total of 7 or 8 who I was able to directly connect with, only one of them would be able to move forward with keeping a parklet outside. They are all reasonably citing rising cost of staff and staffing challenges, rising cost of goods. One of them told me the price of his meat has increased by 300% over the past couple months. And all of those adding up, and the continued kind of unpredictability of consumer response to the pandemic and what's going on, has just made it impossible for any of them to consider having a parklet if they have to pay the 50% parking fee, which is proposed now. So obviously, having outdoor dining, I think it goes without saying, just really, really adds to the atmosphere of the downtown area. Same with Railroad Square. I know that there are businesses there that are eager to do the same thing. But given the state of where we are now, it's just going to remain a pretty big challenge. And I'd hate to see that many businesses have to give up their outdoor dining. It's been really great to have it, and we'd love to see it continue. And so again, we'll be talking about that at council today, but just know that our downtown businesses would love to see a further fee reduction there. On the landscape and beautification side, we have, the district has just entered into a contract with Brightview Landscaping. So they're going to be focusing on some tree pruning, some sidewalk maintenance issues, and some of our keeping our flower planters more up to date as well. We had Street Plus working on that, but I think with how much they've been pulled into the having to manage the homeless population downtown, the landscaping piece they couldn't manage it both, right? And often the need to respond to issues with the homeless population is pretty urgent. So those reactive responses were always take more precedence than kind of the proactive maintenance of the area. So we're hoping to address that by having a landscaping crew and totally taking that off of Street Plus's plate so that they can continue to focus on the homeless population and just general sanitation and safety. We've been doing deep root watering on the new trees we planted downtown to make sure we're taking good care of those. We put some signs up to hopefully kind of have people give them some space. Seem to be working a little bit. Some of the signs have gotten torn down, of course, but we'll be putting those back up again. And we have a few other projects that we'll be doing this year. So I'll look forward to sharing more details as our board makes their decisions around those. And our new board is in place. I mentioned that at our last meeting. Our new executive committee is in place. And we've put together a 2022 work plan with the focuses of the year. And I'll continue to update this committee as we prioritize and organize the services and the programs we're working on, because it all really goes hand in hand with all of you as well as city staff. So greatly appreciative of all of the work that the city staff have been doing. Again, especially Tara, Raisa, and Gabe and their team for everything with the parklets and the events downtown. And to the parks crew as well. I know James is going to update, but we're really grateful to see some progress there too. So I think that's it for my report today. If anyone has any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you, Cadence. Do we have any questions or comments for Cadence this morning? Anyone?
So not a question for Cadence, and I appreciate the thorough report, Cadence, and all the work you guys are doing. You did have a question about the CCTV cameras, and I'm not up to speed on that one. I'm just wondering if there is an update on if that's a possibility, what that looks like, if anybody's working on it. I don't know if this is directed at Raphael.
Yeah, we did. We had Eric McHenry join us before he retired. Some meetings last year where there was some discussion about not a formal policy, but apparently there was something put together at some point many years ago. He brought some background information. He provided some examples. There seems to be some support, but I think definitely we need to do further homework, and I'm not sure what staff member would be assigned to such a project. I mean, I could possibly take the lead, but I think it's we have to work very, very closely with IT and those other departments that are interested in the installation of cameras and put together a surveillance policy and something along those lines.
I can respond a bit to at least a bit of history with it. At the time that it was first suggested, the main conversation was around privacy and concerns about the ACLU. And this was long before, I mean, my business was still open downtown when this conversation was taking place. And so that's been at least 12 years. And but this was long before the kind of activity that the downtown merchants are currently facing around security and the breaking of glass and et cetera. You know, it was happening back then, but it was more definitely not the problem that it is today, and not with the frequency that we have today. So I think that perhaps the tide may have turned where our residents and our merchants have focused more on the security breaches that are happening now, as opposed to concerns around privacy and being somehow having these images used in an inappropriate way. I think that those conversations have now changed, and I'm not sure of the current condition of that conversation, but I know that staff was looking at it fairly recently, but I don't know the result, and it has probably slipped through the cracks at this point. So I think we need to revisit that and get it back into a conversation around the cost, the placement, et cetera. And then that, of course, would have to do with IT and our police department and our legal department as well. So the ball has been dropped, and I think that it's time that we pick that up again and look at our options.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John. And with that being said, definitely involves Sue into the conversation, but and also taking into account the new technology that exists. We see all these new devices that are currently available to homeowners, and I'm imagining that they're also available to merchants without having to get a server along with all your cameras, which I know to be very expensive. Cadence also made a comment in regards to the parklets and how effective they've been for our downtown merchants. And since COVID, I've noticed that they have become the new identity of downtown, and our merchants have used them very effectively. And I hope to see that continue forward on a personal note. Let's go ahead and go to, or do we have any additional questions or comments for Cadence? No, let's go ahead and open up public comment for item 3.3.
We have no raised hands at this time, nor were there any voicemails or emails for this item.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll go ahead and close item 3.3. And if we have no additional comments or questions, Cadence, I do appreciate. Now, to follow up, I will be contacting Sue for direction, as well as council member Sawyer, if we could have a conversation offline in regards to the history of the CCTVs and what is the best way to go ahead and get that ball rolling again and carry that ball forward, so to speak. Let's see if there's anything else in regards to the homeless issues that we're seeing downtown in our downtown corridor. I just want to make the comment that our city manager has been very focused on the homeless issues that we're seeing throughout the city of Santa Rosa. And I understand that part of that will be the displacement of some folks as we try to figure out the situation. But now that we're exiting COVID, I know that the shelters are able to accept new intakes, and hopefully we start seeing a decrease in that, as well as our safe parking program that hopefully will start showing some type of fruits of all the labor of all our staff and community members. Ralph, I do see that your hand is raised. Do you have a question, sir?
Yes, Chair. If I may, what I can do is reach out to Brian Tickner, who's the replacement for Eric McHenry, our director of IT, who recently retired, and kind of brief him on some of the conversations that were held several months ago regarding surveillance and the surveillance policy and such. There is some background on it. Some work was done back in 2010, 11, 12, 2013 and such. So there is some data that we can definitely bring about, and then, I don't know, figure out a plan for if we want to proceed. Of course, we would have to get Santa Rosa PD involved and such. And then also, like it was said, John mentioned our city attorney's office.
Perfect. And you just mentioned creating a bigger party. And with that being said, I did sit with Gianni Mesmer, who helps with the Wednesday night market. And we spoke about increased activity in downtown Santa Rosa. And that definitely goes in alignment with what Cadence stated about increasing activity throughout the city of Santa Rosa. And I'm sorry, and really the downtown corridor, to create activity, to create life, to hopefully, well, what's been my experience is where you have a lot of activity, you do not have the culmination of homeless activity. It seems one deters the other. and we also see Sergeant Lutke here. So definitely is another member of our party that we're trying to organize. So hopefully we'll be reaching out to all of us in the near future to have a conversation about CCTVs, which I think is a very important one to help deter crime in the city of Santa Rosa as a whole. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to item 3.4. Sergeant, good to have you here this morning. Rafa, would you like to introduce?
Yeah, we have item 3.4, public safety report. Sergeant Lucky from Santa Rosa Police Department. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
And can I get you, before you begin, can I get the correct pronunciation of your last name, sir? And I'm sorry if I destroyed it.
That's okay. It's Ludke. Ludke's fine too. So I took over supervision of the downtown enforcement team about a month ago. Since then, I've had the opportunity to meet and engage with a lot of our downtown partners and other city representatives. So I'm getting a handle on some of the issues that we're having downtown, and I'm looking forward to meeting more of you. So in the last month also, something that I've focused on is increasing more in-person foot patrols, downtown patrols. The last couple of weeks, some of our officers have been going business to business to make sure we update our no trespassing letters and some other documents, and also just meet and engage with some of our folks. Also, one of the things that has come up was the increased feeling of safety and dealing with some safety concerns, not only downtown, but in our transit mall area, and addressing some crime issues in our parking garages. So we've been working hard to be more high visibility in that area and make sure that we're contacting our partners downtown to address those issues. For the most part, we've been pretty successful in keeping encampments clear of the downtown area. We've been focused a lot on our parks. Some of our parks, Cancer Survivor Park, Fremont Park area, underpasses have been relatively clear. I attribute that to some increased patrols and engagement with a lot of our community members down there. One thing to note, it was mentioned earlier in the meeting, there will potentially be some large scale cleanups in other parts of the city in the future, most of them on private property. And so additionally, the reason that we're going to be increasing patrols and downtown presence is to make sure that some of our service resistant folks that exit those areas don't establish camps and things in our downtown area. So we recognize that that's been a problem in the past, and we're going to continue to focus on that. That was the main report. I had heard some issues of sideshows that we talked about that happened over the weekend. Those are some things and strategies that we're discussing and addressing. Sideshows have been a problem for the last several years. However, we've seen some increased activity lately. The sideshow downtown this weekend was a bit unique from some of our other sideshows, as it was a group from out of the area, from the East Bay Area, that traveled up here large in part and took over our streets for a period of time. The uniqueness of that sideshow compared to some of our local sideshows are that oftentimes the out-of-town sideshows congregate around the 101 corridor and the off streets just right off 101, which was consistent with our 5th and Davis Street sideshow that lasted a significant amount of time by the AC Hotel, like they mentioned. So we are working with not only our local and regional law enforcement community, but also community members and other city departments like traffic and engineering to come up with a comprehensive strategy to deal with some of those issues. So I appreciate the ongoing conversation about that, and that's something that we're going to continue to look into and work towards.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions or comments for our sergeant this morning?
Just a quick one, and I thank you, Sergeant, for your work. I did join the point in time homeless count on Friday, and we took the downtown beat. So it was myself, Councilmember Schwedhelm, Logan Pitts, and Captain Cregan. And we had between College Avenue and Sonoma Avenue, and then 101 in Brookwood. And I will say, we all were sort of remarking that it was much clearer than we had anticipated. And so I do appreciate the constant attention that it's receiving. So I just wanted to say thank you for that, and thank you for being more accessible and more present for folks walking around downtown. I do hear from folks that makes a big difference.
Thank you.
And if I could echo those statements as well, it definitely is increased feeling of safety in our downtown area. And you stated it correct, Sergeant, with the removal of encampments throughout the city of Santa Rosa. I personally expect to see more traffic in our downtown area, and I'm happy that our Santa Rosa Police Department is being proactive in that sense. So I thank you, sir. If there are no additional questions or comments, let's go ahead and open up item 3.4 for public comment.
We have no hands raised at this time, nor do we have any voicemail or email for this item.
Thank you very much. And let's go ahead and bring it back. If do we have any additional comments closing item 3.4? Well, Sergeant, thank you for stopping by, and we'll be speaking soon.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, sir. Let's go ahead and open up item 3.5, maintenance of Courthouse Square. Rafa, you know what to do.
Oh, yeah. So we have James Castro, our parks superintendent, providing a report on what's going on with Courthouse Square, as well as Railroad Square.
James, good morning.
Good morning, Chair Alvarez, Councilmember Sawyer, and Mayor Rogers. Nice to see you guys. My name is James Castro. I'm the superintendent for parks. Not a whole lot to update as far as maintenance is concerned. We've got the first 3 benches going. Actually, they're on order to replace in Courthouse Square. There's a total of 40 benches. And the new design is a little bit different. It's going to be, it'll more match the rounds that that Cadence and her team have put in there. Hopefully it'll deter people from sleeping on them, and skateboarders as well. So that's on its way. You know, they say 6 to 8 weeks turnaround time, but in the world of purchasing, that's more like 16 to 18 weeks. So as soon as they're in, we'll install them. So keep an eye out for those. Hoping to get a little bit of direction from the chair about some potential skate deterrents going in at Courthouse Square. But yeah, just looking for some direction, hoping for a green light, but I'll wait your direction. I did meet with Chris Wilson over in the downtown, the Railroad District Square with Raphael to take a closer look at Depot Park. Like most of our parks around the city, Depot Park needs a little bit more attention. And so we're going to focus some of our resources on Depot Park to bring it back to life. It definitely has been neglected, like a lot of our parks, but we're very excited. The Volunteer Park a Month program has taken off, and we have found ways of restructuring the way that park maintenance handles our everyday maintenance, in parks. So yeah, I'm very optimistic about where our parks are going. So that's all I have for my report. Hoping to install those.
Well, with that being said, Councilman Sawyer, we did go ahead and approach our colleagues on the dais and in regards to the direction that they wished we would take in regards to the deterrence. They gave us a go ahead and decide amongst ourselves if the deterrence were something that we wanted to move ahead with. And with that being said, I want to pose the question, sir, how you're feeling about the beautiful oak leaves to be placed on the furniture in our downtown square.
I have to say that of all the deterrents that I've seen in any city, I think this is one of the more attractive ones. It's unfortunate that we have to expend resources in this way, but we're used to it now, and I think they're attractive. Has the DAO weighed in on their opinion of the oak leaf?
Yes, they have, and I don't want to speak for them, but I believe we have the green light from them as well.
Yeah, it looks good to me. I mean, I think that they, in some ways might actually enhance certain areas. So like I said, it's probably one of the more attractive of the skateboard stops that I have seen, as opposed just to the metal brackets that are generally used. So I'm all in favor of those. It's nice to see something that actually has a quality of enhancement, as opposed to just being a functional. So good job.
Well, I want to give credit to Tim Finnegan. He's one of our supervisors in parks, and he went and outsourced these. So he gets the credit for the way they look.
Very artistic and very correct for the ambience that we're trying to create it in the courthouse. Well, you definitely have my approval, and it looks like police have fun installing those things. But I definitely want to get Mayor Rogers' take on the deterrence, if he's had a chance to check them out.
Yes, no, I was not part of the conversation when you had it last month, but did have a chance to check in with the chair on it. I understand the justification for it. I understand the need, and so if everybody's good to move forward, I'm good with that.
There you go, James. Have fun, and if you need help in installing them, I know a couple of folks on city council that love to go out to the community and put in good work. So let us know.
All right, I will. Thank you very much.
Let's go ahead and open up public comment on item 3.5.
We have no raised hands at this time, nor do we have any voicemails or emails for this item.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments or questions for our park superintendent?
Just thanks.
There you go. Thank you, James. I appreciate you stopping by this morning. Let's go ahead and go to our last item of the day, 3.6, permitted events and public art. Rafa, if you'd like to introduce our...
Yes, we'd like to welcome Tara Thompson, our Arts and Culture Manager. Hello, Tara. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm here today to just give you a very brief update about permitted events in downtown, as well as our public art program updates. So for the special event permits, I've attached the most current list of pending permit applications to the agenda, and highlighted the event applications that came in since our last meeting at the end of, or I should say at the beginning of February. So you'll note that literally the day after the meeting, the last meeting, the application for the St. Patrick's Day 5K came in. That event has already been approved, and we'll be issuing that permit soon. That takes place on looks like some of the columns got screwed up on this form, so I apologize for that. But that event takes place on the 13th of March. And then the next new permit we received was for the Wednesday night market. They'll be returning this year, starting in May, going through August. And then the Sonoma County Pride Parade and Festival will be returning this year. So those are the new additions since last time. Happy to answer any questions on that before I do a brief update on arts, or I can just continue.
Continue without any objection? No
Okay.
objection. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you. For the public art program, the only update I wanted to provide today was to let you know that the Unum sculpture discussion that has been going on with the Art and Public Places Committee came to some final resolution on February 22nd at a special meeting that was held to reconsider the recommendation of words and languages for the sculpture itself. And so the original list of 15 most commonly spoken languages in Santa Rosa was expanded to the top 30 most commonly spoken languages in Santa Rosa based on US Census Bureau data. The committee unanimously approved the new recommendation. And so we will be moving forward with that expanded list, which allows for increased inclusivity while still respecting the original process that was recommended by our engagement advisory group. So, and the approval included the original selection of the 18 words that were previously identified through our outreach. So we will be moving forward with that with the artist, and we expect that piece to be installed this summer. Happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Tara this one?
Yeah, I just wanted to say great work.
I know it was a long journey, but I'm happy we're we're that much closer to installing the art in downtown. I'm sure the public will definitely appreciate not only the beauty of it, but the significance of it. Let's go ahead and open up our public comments on item 3.6 and see if we have anybody present.
We have no raised hands at this time, nor do we have any voicemails or emails for this item.
I appreciate that very much. Any additional comments or questions for Tara this morning? I did have one. In regards to the process of an individual wanting to hold an event in downtown Santa Rosa, what is the process that he or she should expect?
Sure. I'm happy to answer any questions, so people can just contact me directly. That's fine. I'm happy to go through our process with anyone. Essentially, there's kind of two pathways when it boils down to that. Either if the event is contained within Courthouse Square, and either using those two side streets where the parking is or not. Most of those events will be handled through the blanket permit that we've issued to the Chamber of Commerce. And so they'll be coordinating mainly with Cadence, but I'm happy to stay involved as needed. In some cases, those events need a separate permit anyway. And so we would then be working with them with myself and my team. If the event also is using downtown streets like 4th Street, 3rd Street, the Creek Trail, anything outside of just Courthouse Square, then they would be working with myself and my office on a special event permit application, which you can apply for online. The direct way to get there is srcity.org/SP event permit. Kind of a mouthful, but it kind of makes sense. So, but again, you can give me a call, you can email me, and happy to walk through that process.
Thank you, Tara. I'll have everybody know I've been busy working on my lowrider, trying to bring it back from the dust age. I haven't actually opened the door to that car in over 12 years, but it's definitely time for it to come back. And seeing the Mary Lou vehicle making its debut, I definitely need to hurry up and try to get mine ready as well. It's definitely the motivation to dust it off. And I can't wait for the Peggy Sue event. And a big shout out to Alton Farron, who's the organizer for that event. Do we have any additional statements or comments for our meeting of this morning? We're good to go. With that being said, it is now 9:39. Let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting. And I can't wait to see you guys in just a couple hours in our other job.
See you soon, Chair.
Absolutely.